What's up, everyone? Let's check on Euro USD. Let's check on Euro USD. I know you want to know this. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to delete everything. Been explaining something here. Just going to delete everything. Let's talk about the Elliot Waves. Let's talk about the basic rules, the basic market structure, how it should be approached, and how you should actually look at it. Let's talk about how the waves unfolds. Let's talk about how the waves unfold. So we have the Elliot waves. There's the market have 25 waves, and those 5 waves there are 2 waves acting as corrections, and there are 3 waves acting as impulse. Impulsive waves. So our job is to catch the impulsive waves and read the corrections, the corrective waves, and then try getting in at the termination of the waves, the correction. It's more like buying the dips and selling so let's check them out. They are like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? There are 5 waves in the markets. They're not in the market structure. There are 5 waves in the markets. Acting is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So as you can see, I made wave 3 the longest because the rules of the Elliot Waves states that wave 3 must be the longest of the waves of all of the waves that you have. And the other rule says wave 5 must be equal to wave 1, the minimum length required actually. The minimum length required for wave 5 must be equal to that of wave 1. So if it ends here, it's actually going to be terminating the cycle P. But extensions happen in the market, which is something we're going to be talk about later in the upcoming videos. But for now, let's just learn the basic structure. So the basic structure states that wave 3 must be the longest of the waves. And the 2 waves are corrective waves. The 3 are impulsive, which is wave 1, wave 3, wave 5, impulsive waves, right? After that, you need to have okay, let's first talk about the multi-waves. These are the multi-waves, right? Because after the multi-wave, you get the correction as an ABC correction opposing the actual waves, opposing the structure. But the overall structure is bullish. If it's like this, and let's actually find the termination of wave 2 and wave 4, which is something actually always going to be stressing about, because once you see a correction, you want to know where it ends so that you can buy it, where it ends so that you can buy. So in most cases, we're focusing on that, and we're focusing on the trend as it's itself. I'm sorry. And then yeah, let's try to find the termination of this correction. So we use the Fibonacci ratios to find the termination of wave 2. So if the market started here to be bullish and then ended here, you will know that Elliot Waves says wave 2, the minimum length, the depth, I mean, it must at least be, if we start counting at 50%, 60%, 78%. So if it turned at 50%, it's still going to be 2. If it turned at 60%, it's 2. It's still turned at 78%, still 2, or over here, but it must not be equal to the starting point. Then the trend is terminated. It must be over here, or over here, or over here, over here, which is tricky though to find the turning point of a correction. But we're going to be focusing on it, we're going to learn it, and then you will understand it. You'll understand even the basic structure of the corrections, because even themselves, corrections, they have some kind of structures that you need to, and rules that you need to respect and follow. So for now, we're going to be finding the termination points for now using the Fibonacci level. So you take your Fibonacci where it started, you put it at 1, and then the point. reveals themselves, the percentages, just like that when you're finding wave 2. But I mean wave 4 determination, when it has started falling, so you actually wondering, because you see it falling, maybe at this point you start wonder where it's going to be turning to terminate, right? This is what you're doing. It's like a Fibonacci. The acceptable percentages for wave 4 is not actually the same as wave 2. Wave 4 terminates its wave at percentage 38. This is the final percentage, for a wave 4 to terminate. And then it can also take 23%, acceptable percentages. All about acceptable percentages again is going to be 20% and 30%. So it could have 10 over here. It's okay. It could have made a 10 over here. It's okay. It's still wave 4. It's still wave 4, right? So we're going to be looking at those things for now. Let's be looking at it. So this is the basic structure. It says the rules state that wave 5 must be equal to the length of wave 1. The minimum length required, not actually equal, because sometimes it extends itself, or sometimes it just makes a little bit of a double top, not actually equal to equating itself to 1. So it's sometimes there are those rules and the things that affect the markets that we're going to be looking at as well. So let's go to EURUSD and try to find the 5 waves and try to find the turning points, the termination of the correction using Fibonacci levels. So again, with 2 terminates at the starting point of 50%, we can take it. If it terminates, then go up, we can count. But if it terminates, maybe it's 38, it is not with 2. But that is not with 2. With 2 starts at 50% or 60%, or but in many cases it's going to be 60%, because it's a golden ratio. It's the graph actually always terminates there. Not always, usually, and many people bet on that area. They be putting their entries around those those prices. So we're going to be actually looking at it again. And let's go to to EURUSD and try to understand the trend, because you cannot just, sometimes people be like, okay, it's falling, that is it. Like, you need to understand the fall and understand whether you are late or you're not late, or when are you going to be taking entries, the next stopping point, when are they going to be the next supports and resistances, or just time, actually, just time. That is important. So starting from this point, as you can see that the trend actually, this was the last point of this series. So the falling trend started, at 30 minutes. Yes. And this was the last line, last price we had is this high. And then from there, it actually went below. So we're actually going to be finding wave 2, wave 3, 4, 5, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll be knowing what happens after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's dive in. I think we need to make sure that this is clearly visible, because I can actually see these 5 waves, but you will notice this if you're not used to the waves as it happened here. This is 4, 5. So you can actually notice it if it is tiny. I think changing the time frame would be a good idea. So it's going to be in a little gray, much action, you can see it. So let's start the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So as you can see, and then after the 5 complete waves, I'm still going to tell you what happens. But let's look at our Fibonacci and try to find the termination of these corrections, because this is wave 2, a correction. This is the impulse, correction, impulse. As you can see how many routes we met, actually all of them, because wave 3 is the longest of the waves. As you can see, wave 1 is not longer than wave 3, wave 5 is not longer than, and wave 4 is not longer than. You see, wave 3 is actually always longer than each and every wave in the given cycle. So this one is going to be 1 hour impulse, and then followed by the correction. Maybe you can do this and you can actually see what was happening. We had this false breakout over here, but just just the basic structure, which is actually the most important thing, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before you actually see a big correction, and then you continue with the trend. It's very important to know that it gives you 5 weights: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can actually be counting this as 1, 2, 3. As you see, it's making a long run to the downside, which will in turn be wave 3, the longest, and then we're gonna have 4, 5. Continuous, because it unfolds itself, it never dies. So let's get right to its closer over here using the 1 hour time frame. So let's actually try to find the termination point of this trend, the termination point for the corrections. So the market started at this point and then stopped over here. It gave us a 1 here and then went up. So we're starting to count from 50%. As you can see, there was nothing much telling that we can now say there is no currently confirming the bullish to the bearish trend about this undecisive moment, and then it decided later and then continued to go higher. So you wouldn't actually consider 50% over here, as you see, and then 60% you just short straight up, short straight up, and again, you do not consider this because there is no indecisive candle and maybe another red candle engulfing all the previous ones. Maybe you would have considered it as your goal point, but for now, I think it all goes up, and then up to this point where you started to have a little bit of the indecisive and then engulfing. But the sad part was that it didn't engulf this one. It's still powerful than this candle is the latest one. Up until this one, confirmed that we can still go up a little more, and because we're not judging it's using the candles for now. I said the structures, not the candles. All this, you were just heading to 70%. As you can see, you were just heading to 70%, 28 actually 0.6%. So if you round off, it's gonna be like 80%. We're just there. To go 80%, to 80%, 51, somewhere there. But we just take the percentages, that we're betting into, so that you cannot consider this. You will know that give it time to actually give it room to go a little higher for you to reap more, to sell more at the highest price, so that when it falls, it's actually giving you more money. So if you waited long enough, you would have tried to sell over here, and it would have like went down using these 5 waves: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, this one up to this point was longer than each and every one here. These ones are very small though, but if you go lower and lower, and some of the sometimes they will become big, and you will actually interact with them, and you will reap more benefits. And then, but let's take this bigger one, and then 1, 2, and we're actually 2 terminated over here, and then wave 3 must be the longest, right? It was actually the longest. It gave us the longest wave, so we need to remember this. It is actually the longest wave. It is the longest wave. It went down up to this far. So at this point, like, where are they gonna be? But you know that you need to surpass this length right before you stress about 3. You want to surpass this length, and then you did actually surpass it. So okay, let me clone it. Let me just take it up to the start of wave 3. Started at 2 here, and then you know that beyond this line you're stressing about wave 3. So at this point we're like, when I'm having wave 3, when I'm having wave 3, when I'm having wave 3, up until it's made a little 10 up to this point, pushing higher, and you're like, you know what? If you push higher, if you really consider this price as the price that can hold as the termination point of wave 3, then I'm going to look for wave 4, the termination of wave 4, because it's what I'm actually trying to get. So you take your Fibonacci at the start of wave 2, wave 3, I mean at 2, you're putting it where you think it is actually going to hold. So you can find your 4 termination point of this correction. Terminated at 23. As you can see, I told you it can terminate at, these are acceptable percentages according to Elliot's waves. You know, taking all the rules into action right now. So if not, it went down up to this point and then go up. So you're like, well, my analysis is going to be like this. If not, this is going to be this. I'm still waiting for it to push a little higher. You know, so you having these 2 over here like this, but you know this can also terminate halfway. It's going to do whatever it wants, but you're having these 2 and you're like, okay, which one is holding? And then you try to make it align with itself with some other supports and I mean resistances. As you can see, you're just finding this one over here, over here. We just keep finding it. So 23, that is why it's held. But let's just undo this and get our clean structure. And I told you that I'm going to tell you what happens after you have your 5 complete. But wait, so we need to complete this cycle. Then you get your 4 over here. This is actually equal to the length of 1, right? And I told you that with 5, the length of 5 from 4 to 5, it's actually need to be equal to 0 from 0 to 1. The length of 1. So if we're 4 terminated, if we're 4 terminated over here, and then it's almost actually gave us something very special. Though it's terminated over here, you know, it's actually not going to be always, you know, accurate. It's not going to be accurate, not going to be 100% accurate, but you know, it is actually giving us what we want. And then after that, I told you that these 5 waves that you're going to have as a basic structure of the market, is the structure of the markets. After them, you need to oppose the entire trend because now it has completed the cycling, right? So let's take this line period over here. Terminated over here, it's 5, right? So after that, you get to this phase of the correction and ABC correction, correcting itself against this, you know, this cycling as an APC pattern, an APC, but it can be a WXY pattern. As you can see, they are all here. This is APC pattern, this is WXYXZ, this is WXY, which we actually going to be talking about. We're going to talk about in the upcoming videos. If you know, I'm going to make sure that I cover all those things so that it's going to be clear. But for now, these are the first steps of approaching it. An IPC pattern against this, the motive cycle, you know, and then after completing the APC, it can now continue with the actual trend. What am I doing? It can now continue with the actual trend. You know what was happening? All these waves, this ones, they were just building something with their correction. They were just building something. They are actually building another waves higher in degree, but of the same cycle of this, like the same pattern, how it goes, you know, but in a higher degree, as you can see. So these are mono, they become mono waves building up larger waves in a larger degree. You will still have your 1, you still have your 2, your 3 as the longest wave, and then your 4 terminating at 3.0 23, and then 5 its minimum length equaling to 1. So in this case, this 5 in a higher degree is going to be equaling this length of all these other waves all the way up there where it's going to be. We don't know. We're gonna be, you know, when we approach those areas, then we're stressing about them. Then come back down here where we started, measure this, and then when we're there, but for now, we're just going to be focusing on these low areas. So notice that this is 1 and 2. The same rules applies if it's 1 and 2, where there's 1 minutes, usually 10 minutes is 61.8. So but we started counting, we started 50%, 60%, and then 70 or 80. But you know, we're going to be using the same rules, we're going to be taking the Fibonacci and then align itself with some other supports and resistances earlier in these points. I don't know, so that you're going to have some confidence in taking a trade, because maybe sometimes you cannot rely only on a Fibonacci. You need some various sets of other things that can help you catch a trade, make better decisions, but the basic structure is there. So we were talking about, after the completion of the full cycle, that you're going to be getting an ABC correction or an ABCDE correction or WXYZ, So let's come back here. So let me remove this backward to where the trend started and the trend finished over here. We want to put in there. So what happens after that? We're making two. These ones tend to be one. They tend to be mono waves doing this one, and then its correction is just wave two, the higher degree waves, as you can see, and then the corrections, it's APC or ABCDE. As you can see, at first you got your APC very well from this point. It went up to this point and then came back up to this point. See, if you can take this line, actually let's remove this line. Yeah, I'm messing us up. Let's delete this one. Let's delete this one. As you can see, your C's over here actually with 10 minutes, but because it's expanded itself sideways, it just in 10 do not become APC. This can be ABCDE, it can be WXYZ, but if you follow the rules, you know when you put WXY, you know when you put W to Z. So for now, it's going to be like A, B, C, D, E, right? As you can see, it's all perfectly fits. It's all perfect. Maybe we can use this, to look at it in a much better way. And then if this is 2, then you're making 3 in a larger degree. That's why this graph is actually falling, keep on dropping. Look at this, just keep on dropping, just keep on dropping, just keep on dropping. So yeah, I think just the basic structure is like that, and you are making your 3, you need your 4. Remember, your 4 can never touch the top of 1, so the 4 we're looking for must not come back to these points. So if it makes maybe 3 over here, your 4 maybe must be over here. Let's see, it's gonna come back because since I'm not touched the top of an edge over here, it didn't go to these points up to this price, but instead just 10 here and then give you 5. But just like that, and I think this is it about the basic structure of the market. It is just 5 waves followed by a correction. Those 5 waves in 10, when they are complete, they just give you another waves in a bigger cycle. They just in 10 be mono waves building up bigger waves. That APC of the mono waves makes 2 of a larger degree waves. Now you are left with 3 and 4 and 5. Just like that. And I'm gonna see you guys some other time. Gonna see you on the next video.